Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart, and I am an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. This video briefly is going to discuss certain misconceptions people have about Thai visas and the Thai immigration process, especially in light of recent amendments to Thai immigration regulations and recent changes to the visa issuance structure and the visa categorization structure. It's sort of a common misconception, or at least it has been over the years, and for the most part, up until about 3 years ago, it's 2017 now, so up until about 2014, late 2013, many of these, what I will call misconceptions now, were fairly valid. Basically, there were people who could essentially live in, and in some cases work, albeit illegally, in Thailand, utilizing sort of long-term methodologies of just cobbling together things like visa exemption stamps, visas, tourist visas specifically, basically visas that were designed for temporary holiday makers here in Thailand. There were those who could, sort of string enough of those together to make a year go by without a problem. And in most cases, as long as folks flew under the radar, immigration didn't particularly, bug people about that kind of issue, and people got away with it. Within about the last 3 years, a couple of things have happened. Most notably, the enforcement mechanism of Thai immigration has become much more stringent, especially at borders, especially at land borders, when they see someone who's been in Thailand for significant periods of time using tourist visas, or overstaying in Thailand, or using visa exemptions. A couple of things have changed. There's another video that specifically talks about this. Most notably, the border run is gone. In fact, regulations that came into effect at the beginning of 2017 have effectively nullified the ability of people to utilize so-called border runs to maintain 30-day stamps sort of ad infinitum. That just isn't a possibility anymore. Thai law now dictates that one can only utilize a border run twice in a given calendar year. That effectively just rules that out. The other thing is the overall structure of the Thai tourist visa mechanism, or the tourist visa system, has changed so that it looks like there are going to be less single-entry tourist visas issued, and they're basically phasing in a single 6-month multi-entry tourist visa scheme, and that visa will only be issued once a year. And it's not even a foregone conclusion that they're going to issue multiple ones of those. That, if you try to use one of those and then cobble together another couple of visa categories to maintain the other 6 months of a year, they'll turn around and just reissue a 6-month tourist visa particularly easily. In fact, the way it's looking is that's probably not the case, actually. It's my understanding from anecdotal evidence, the 6-month tourist visa has become or is a difficult document to obtain from an evidentiary standpoint. One really needs to prove up one's ability to stay here in Thailand independently, and one needs to really prove up their tourism intent, that they intend to leave Thailand after a certain period of time, basically that they are in fact a genuine tourist. So that's changed quite a bit. Another thing that's sort of happened is that immigration has become much more diligent in inspecting establishments with respect to business visas. This has been my personal sort of, as part of some of the work we do here at the firm, it's become my personal perspective, my personal observation is that yes, Thai immigration, the inspectorate division, they are inspecting quite significantly. It seems to be that they're inspecting with more frequency. It looks to me like they've added personnel and perhaps more funding to that division. And so they are following up when people are getting business visa extensions and work permits. They're following up at the places where those individuals are actually working, essentially their offices and things. That's a significant issue moving forward. One really does need to truly be in compliance with relevant immigration law compared to the past. Another misconception, sort of part and parcel with the overall business visa, the attitude toward business visas, is that the multi-entry visa, which was once a rather common occurrence, it was relatively easy to get like a 1-year multiple entry business visa if one could show intention to do business here in Thailand effectively, especially from the United States, that's a thing of the past. So being able to relatively easily get long-term status in Thailand is definitely diminishing. There's just no doubt about that. Another thing to think about is I found that there are many who seem to have this misconception that like immigration are kind of pushovers, or they're sort of, I've even heard that, I've even seen people who seem to think that they're corrupt and can be susceptible to things like bribery. It has been my experience that that is not only not the case, it is like the polar opposite of the case. That they are, if anything, some of the cleanest people, cleanest from the standpoint of corruption. I've never really seen that. I've never really seen a situation where that even came into play. Quite frankly, they have a certain set of regulations that they have to abide by, and they frankly abide by them. And they if anything, immigration is quite quote-unquote by the book. There are certain officers that, under certain sets of circumstances, and this has nothing to do with corruption, it more has to do with, yes, there are extenuating circumstances in any given situation. Not every case looks the same. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're dealing with them, that mentality is rather pervasive because, when you're operating a large institution like, Thai immigration here in Bangkok that's servicing hundreds, if not thousands of individuals in a given day, it's going to be fairly easy to get a sort of a blinder's mindset as far as each given case. But it's been my experience that oftentimes if an explanation is made as to why a set of circumstances is slightly different in a given case compared to, the routine of the routine cases going through, oftentimes they'll be reasonable and they understand that. And they'll try to work with you within a sort of certain parameters. They have a set of guidelines that they need to abide by, and they do enforce those guidelines. That is their mandate, and they follow it. So again, another misconception about immigration is that they're somehow easily corrupted. I've never found that to be the case, and quite frankly, I think that that is going to be an even bigger misnomer moving forward, because it does not look like that immigration is going to get any different. In fact, I think if anything, it's going to be even more, for lack of a better term, incorruptible, just based on the fact that their mandate has changed. They've had personnel changes that have essentially instituted new policies with respect to immigration in Thailand, and those policies they're taking very seriously. They want to sort of regularize or standardize the system. The system is looking more and more like any immigration system you're going to see in the Western countries, or say a country like Japan or Korea. It looks a lot like that now. In the past, it was sort of an ad hoc sort of system. In a sense, it was sort of almost, there's a million ways to skin a cat kind of thing, because of sort of the localized autonomy in given immigration bureaus. It's standardizing now. That really does not look to be the case moving forward, and operating under those sort of misdirected notions could land one in a situation where they either can't get back into Thailand or maintain their status in Thailand, and that could result in serious hardship and expense in terms of both time and resources for foreigners who are trying to stay here in Thailand.